Alright, just the way these problems are presented to you makes this kind of easy to figure out in terms of A, B, H, and K. So we're given, and let me draw that real quick. You know from the original graph, you have 2 points. You have 0, 0, and 1, 1. And so 0, 0 being the end point, and 1, 1 being, well, honestly, any other point you can locate, but they're giving us these points in this graph. So I'm going to show you something that takes place here. Alright. Do you remember x? Every single time you change an x, it's multiplied by b and added to h. And every single time you change a y, it's multiplied by a and added to k. So let's take these 2 points. Watch. That means 0, 0. And just think through here. If this was 0, 0 times b would still be 0, leaving only h. So 0, 0 turns into h, and let's think of the y value. If I take this y value of 0 and plug it in here, 0 times a, no matter what a is, it's still 0, and then I add k. So 0, 0 always moves to hk, right? Let's think about 1, 1, right? Let's do this first one. If I multiply 1 by b, it's b, and then I add h, all right? If I multiply 1 by k, by a, it's a, and then I add k. And literally that is how this point is done, alright? So, let's go here and look at 2 points, alright? I can see my end point here, right? And honestly, to be simple, you can literally say, hey, there's my h and there's my k. My h moves over 1, so my h is 1. My k moves down 2. Be careful with this care. So my k is equal to, what, negative 2, right? Which means the point 0, 0 moved to h, k, and that point is really 1, negative 2, giving us those values of h and k. Alright, this one's a little bit tougher, but not a lot. Alright, it's my second point of 1, 1. Alright, and we know 1, 1 has moved to this, so watch this value. The value of 1, 1 is literally, look up here, it's b plus h and a plus k. That's what it is. So, let's see what happened to 1, 1. 1, 1 went to, if we look at this point, it's 0, negative 1. Alright, so here we go. If I write these separately, look what happened. To get 0, I had b plus h. Well, we kind of know what's going to happen because, well, let's do the a plus k as well. Alright, so b plus h is now equal to 0 because that is how our x value of 1, 1 changed. 1, 1 turned into b plus h. And since we already know h is 1, b plus 1 equals 0. And then I keep solving. And we get b equals negative 1. Let's go ahead and solve for the a. Although they didn't put an a in here indicating that a is probably 1, let's do a as well. Ready? This guy was turned into a plus k. So I'm going to say a plus k equals, in this case, negative 1. Alright? Well, I don't know my a, but I do know k is negative 2 equals negative 1. And if I add 2 to both sides, a equals 1. Well, there we've got it. So we're going to do this a couple more times because although it's not hard, seeing it for the first time is probably pretty confusing. But let's write this out. We have g of x is equal to, we got the square root of 1 over negative 1 is just negative 1. And we have x minus h, so that's minus 1. All right. Plus k, which is, we don't need to put a plus k when it's a negative 2. We'll say minus 2. Alright, so we're going to do another one. Alright, they're not as bad as you think. Look, and we're going to keep using this. Write that down if you don't have it. Alright, 0, 0 turns into hk, which we can do just on the graph. But this 1, 1 is what turns into our second graph. So I'm going to go. Alright, here we go. Very first thing is I'll find hk this way. Looks like my scale's normal. Looks like h is negative 2 and k is negative 1. Alright, so I'm going to write that up here. H is negative 2 and k equals negative 1. Let's write it like this book would want us to. right? 0, 0 turned into h and k, and we know that h was -2 and k was -1, and we have those points. Alright, so look, 1, 1, I'm just going to write it out like this. The original point of 1, 1 turned into this. It turned into b plus h. That's always what happens to our x values. A plus k, that's our y values. And let's find that point on here. I think the point on here, if you look right up here, is -1, +2. Alright, so they're asking us to solve for a. So let's use this guy right here. We have a plus k, so let's write that. I'm going to write a plus k is equal to this guy right here. That's our y value, is equal to 2. We've already got our k, so it's a minus 1 equals 2. Alright, I'm plugging in that -1 for k, which gives me a equals 3. I'm going to circle that. Since they didn't give us b, it's probably 1, but let's plug it in. Alright, let's go ahead and do, hey, you know what? b plus h equals -1. Alright, we don't know b, but we do know h is minus 2, not equals 2, equals -1. Let's just plug it in this -2 right there. We add 2 to both sides, b equals 1. It sure was. Which makes sense because they're not asking us to solve for b. So if we solve this, I'm going to circle this last problem, but here we go. We've got g of x is equal to a, which we have is 3, times the square root of x minus -2, which is x plus 2, minus 1. Let's do one more. I'm going to come right here. I'll hit this guy with you. So look, I'm going to find h and k the same way we have. Look, the scale is off again, right? The scale is it's half every time I move over, so that's over 1 and that's down 1. There's h and k. Tells me my h equals +1 and my k equals -1. Let's write that, and we know that 0, 0 has turned into h and k, which we know is 1 and -1. Alright. Let's write the next one. The point 1, 1, that was multiplied by h. 1 times h is h, added to b. Oh, 1 times b is b, forgive me. And then we add h, so that's b plus h. This one was multiplied by a, which gives it a, added to k, a plus k. And our new point, let's find it. And our new point looks to be this point right here. And if I'm reading that right, that looks like 1.5 and 0, right? Every one's half a point, so x is 1.5 and 0. They're asking us for b this time. Alright, so let's go ahead and plug this in right here. We'll start off with that. We're going to say b plus h is equal to 1.5, right? That's the x coordinate in both. We know our h is 1, so we'll say b plus 1 equals 1.5, which gives me a b of 1/2. Since they didn't ask us to solve for a, we're assuming it's 1/2, but let's do it anyway to make sure. We'll say a plus k is equal to, this right here is equal to this 0, equals to 0. We know our k is -1, so we got a minus 1 equals 0, and sure enough, a is equal to 1, which makes sense again, because they're not asking us to solve for it. And let's write it. G of x is equal to 1, which we don't have to write for the a, the square root of 1/2 times x minus 1 minus 1. How long is this video? You know what? We got enough to finish this up, so let's finish this up. We've got, I'm about to move pretty quick, but we know from here to here is h, so h equals -3. From here to here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is k. K is 5. We know that is our h and k. I'm going to skip right to the 1, 1. Alright. And it says, hey, remember we multiply by b and add h when it's the x value. We multiply by a and add k when it's the y value. And it looks like that next point is -2. What is that, -2, -2? Alright. And it wants us to solve for a, so let's do a. Alright, we know a plus k is equal to -2. We'll plug in the k that we have. A plus 5 equals -2. If we subtract, oh, you know what? That is a -2. That is a +2. Look, I went over 2 and up 2, so we're going to plug that in as a +2. If we subtract 5, we get a equals -3. I'm going to assume b's 1, but let's try it anyway. B plus h equals, that's this guy, -2. Let's plug in our h value of -3. And sure enough, when we add through, we get b equals 1. For our final value, we got a, b, h, and k. So we got g of x equals my a value of 3. And we have x minus -3, so that's +3 plus 5. And I'm going to circle that answer. And that is all of these notes. I'll talk to you guys very soon.